Wanting a positive experience is a negative experience. We're revealing the ancient secret that flips success on its head. Stop forcing control, start accepting, and watch your life effortlessly fall into place. Ever notice how sometimes the harder you push for something, the more it seems to push back? It's one of the weirdest paradoxes of life. We're taught from the moment we can walk that effort equals reward. School, career, fitness. If you want it, you just gotta grind, right? Work late, hustle harder, be relentless. And that all sounds great in an inspirational poster kind of way. But let's be honest about what that relentless chase actually feels like. Imagine a guy named Alex. Alex has decided he's going to be a successful entrepreneur. Not just doing okay, but wildly successful. The kind of success where people write articles about his morning routine. He commits. He works until his eyes blur. He meticulously tracks every metric, every hour, every penny. His life becomes a single-minded sprint toward this sparkling, perfect finish line. Now, here's where the trap springs. This fierce commitment isn't just about putting in effort. It's about acknowledging every single day just how far away he still is from the goal. His commitment makes him acutely aware of what we'll call the gap. The gap is the space between where you are right now. Maybe you just launched your business, or you're still working on the prototype, and that shimmering, flawless version of your future self. For Alex, every slow sales day, every client who says no, every social media post that flops, it all becomes a harsh, neon sign reminder of the gap. And what happens when you're constantly reminded that you're not enough, not there yet, not successful enough? You start to feel miserable. This is the sneaky heart of the backwards law. Wanting a positive experience too intensely becomes a negative experience. By making being wildly successful his sole source of validation, Alex inadvertently turns his current, perfectly normal life into a constant source of negative self-judgment. He can't enjoy the small wins because they're not the big win. He can't be proud of his effort because it hasn't yet closed the gap. He's inadvertently signed up for a life of perpetual dissatisfaction. And the solution, as the ancient philosopher Epicurus noted, isn't always to add more, but to subtract. He said, "If you wish to be rich, do not add to your money, but subtract from your desire." Think about that. The feeling of being poor or unsuccessful isn't strictly based on your bank account or your achievements. It's based on the size of the gap between what you have and what you desperately believe you need. The more desperately Alex chases that feeling of rich, the more profoundly poor he feels, regardless of his actual income. True wealth, it turns out, is a mental state. This isn't about stopping your pursuit of excellence. It's about recognizing when the striving itself becomes counterproductive, when the fixation on the outcome creates a paralyzing internal anxiety. The irony here is brutal. Alex's single-minded pursuit of happiness and success is actually destroying his happiness and creating an internal narrative of failure. The relentless grind, fueled by anxiety over the gap, is causing him to unconsciously repel the very thing he seeks. He's putting so much conscious pressure on the goal that his whole system is tight, desperate, and resisting. We've been handed this cultural script. Try harder, try more, try until you break. But the backwards law gently suggests there's a limit. There's a point where we need to stop gripping so tight, step back, and let things breathe. Because the moment we start to feel that we lack something, we are dedicating all our energy to that sense of lack, making it the center of our universe. So, how do we get off this treadmill of chasing more only to feel less? How do we deal with the gap without falling into the abyss of misery? We need to learn how to change the channel. We need to trade the suffocating feeling of control for the liberating power of acceptance. And that's where the story takes a fascinating turn. When we discover that overexertion is actually a form of self-sabotage. The problem with chasing the gap, that space between where you are and where you want to be, is that the harder you chase, the tighter you grip. And the tighter you grip, the more you unintentionally push your goal away. This is where the backwards law gets really counterintuitive, introducing what's often called the law of reversed effort. Imagine you've fallen into a lake. You desperately want to get to shore. What's the natural instinct? To thrash, to struggle, to use every muscle to force your way through the water. But what happens if you panic and thrash? You quickly exhaust yourself, swallow water, and start to sink. The very effort intended to save you ends up drowning you. The key to floating, as anyone who has learned to swim knows, is to relax, to lie back, let the water hold you, and simply use small, measured movements. Your body, when relaxed, is naturally buoyant. The moment you stop trying so hard, you float. This is the sink or float test for life. Think about common situations where this reversed effort trips us up. Ever had a night where you absolutely must fall asleep? You check the clock, you calculate how many hours you have left, and you tell yourself, relax, relax, relax. The more you try to force sleep, the wider awake you become. You go into a meeting or on a date and tell yourself, be confident. Look strong, don't be awkward. You end up overthinking every gesture, sounding rehearsed, and feeling completely anxious and inauthentic. The self-consciousness suffocates your natural self. Walking a plank on the ground is easy. Your desire and your imagination are aligned. But raise that same plank 20 feet in the air, and suddenly your imagination sabotages your desire. Your conscious mind wants to walk across, but your subconscious, which controls 95% of your thoughts and actions, is busy visualizing the fall. The more you force yourself to concentrate, the more that fear manifests. Alan Watts, the philosopher who popularized these ideas in the West, put it simply: the more you try and grab a hold of something, the more it slips through your fingers. The law of reversed effort teaches us that willpower isn't always the answer. Sometimes the problem isn't a lack of effort, it's an excess of conscious control and self-criticism. When you try to force a feeling, whether it's happiness, calm, or confidence, you just highlight its absence. You're telling your subconscious, I don't have this, so I must try harder to get it. The solution isn't to become lazy or stop working toward your goals. It's to stop engaging in the struggle against the present moment. It's about letting go of the internal tension and the mental flogging. We have to learn to trust the underlying process, to stop stirring the water and just let the sediment of our anxieties settle. How do we do that? By making a pivotal choice, the great surrender. Are you tired of thrashing in the water, only to sink faster? If you're feeling the misery of the gap, that endless distance between where you are and where you should be, it's time to stop forcing and start flowing. You don't need more effort. You need a smarter approach, ready to trade the frantic grind for genuine, sustainable growth. Stop struggling and start accepting. I have created a 30-day challenge to help you discover how to align your desires, ditch the self-sabotage, and unlock the effortless success that's waiting on the other side of the great surrender. So, if striving makes us miserable and forcing things makes them slip away, what's the alternative? Do we just give up? Absolutely not. The surrender isn't about quitting. It's about redirecting our energy from a forceful push to an internal alignment. The great surrender is the moment you stop saying, I have to be happy, or I have to be rich, and start saying, I accept where I am right now. This radical acceptance is the ultimate positive experience because it removes the gap's power to cause suffering. This shift in focus is incredibly powerful because it helps us uncover what we truly desire. Many people chase surface-level goals, a fancy title, the perfect partner, the specific salary, because they believe those things will deliver a deeper, undefined feeling, security, love, or freedom. Watts noted that often, we don't really know what we want because we haven't defined it clearly. The backwards law is a fantastic tool because it forces us to dissect our desires. Why do I want this? What feeling do I expect it to give me? Does this pursuit align with my core values? By turning our attention inwards, we step away from the external chaos of comparison and striving. We stop focusing on the lack and start cultivating what we have. It's a shift from running a race dictated by others to walking a path determined by your own inner compass. Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, believed human suffering comes from our irrational, insatiable will to live, a pathological desire for more that can never be satisfied. He argued that the only way to escape this cycle is to detach from that constant, endless craving. The great surrender, in practical terms, is that detachment. When Alex, our entrepreneur, stops obsessing over the millionaire outcome and instead focuses on simply providing the highest possible value to his current clients and enjoying the process of creating his product, his energy changes. He shifts from an energy of scarcity, I don't have enough, to an energy of growth, I am doing valuable work. By letting go of the need for external control and allowing ourselves to be guided by this deeper, clearer desire, we make space for an automatic, effortless process to take over. We stop trying to will things into existence and start sliding into the natural rhythm of life. This is the gateway to the most effortless form of performance there is, the flow state. When you stop fighting the present moment, something amazing happens. You become fully present in the moment. This is the wisdom of the Buddha. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. When you stop struggling to force an outcome, your mind is freed from two major traps: dwelling in the past and worrying about the future. When you release the need for conscious, white-knuckle control, you open the door to what high performers call the flow state. The flow state is that feeling when your actions become effortless, as if your body is on autopilot. Musicians become one with the music, and athletes feel like they're moving in slow motion. It's where your subconscious, the 95% of your mind that handles everything from breathing to driving a car, takes over. Think about learning to drive. At first, it's terrifying. Every single action, mirror, signal, maneuver, requires intense conscious focus. But after a few months, your brain gets used to the motion. You drive, talk, and listen to music all at once. You don't try to drive, you just do it. The backwards law suggests that this effortless state can be applied to nearly any goal. When you try too hard to enter flow, you create a mental roadblock through overthinking and self-criticism. When you relinquish excessive conscious effort and instead focus on the immediate, challenging, and enjoyable task in front of you, you slip into flow. Instead of Alex the entrepreneur focusing on, I must be a millionaire, he focuses his energy on the small, present moment victories. This client call is going well, or I am thoroughly enjoying optimizing this website. By celebrating and focusing on these present moment actions, he conditions his subconscious for growth. This is the power of working with the subconscious rather than against it. It means aligning your imagination, your internal vision of success, with your desire, your intended action. When you genuinely believe in the feasibility of your process, your subconscious stops fighting you. By concentrating the mind on the present moment, we stop draining our mental battery on the gap. We become more mindful, our quality of life improves, and our minds feel rested and focused. But what about the big rewards? What does this letting go actually deliver? The ultimate promise of the backwards law is that when you stop frantically hunting for happiness and success, they tend to find you. As Seneca wisely noted, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. When you apply the principles of the backwards law to life's biggest prizes, the results are transformative. Fulfillment isn't found by relentlessly pursuing a destination. It's found by walking a path that feels meaningful right now. For Alex, true wealth isn't the number in the bank. It's the mental state of being content with his efforts and his present situation. When he stops needing the love of 1,000 followers and focuses on being present with his loved ones, his relationships deepen. When he stops demanding happiness from his efforts and simply accepts the challenge and joy of his work, he finds peace. The final lesson is simple. The more you try to cling to something, the more it will slip away from you. When we learn to let go and stop obsessing about having conscious control over every facet of our lives, we gain time, mental space, and a heightened sense of awareness. We shift our focus from a fixed mindset of scarcity to one of growth and abundance. We become mindful of our thoughts and actions, ensuring they align with our vision for the future, one purposeful step at a time. We can finally create a fulfilling existence for ourselves simply by enjoying the journey we're already on.